Okay, I had a request for the this particular TOBOR. There's lots of toys named TOBOR, including the big movie one, which you already know about. This particular one was very popular in 1978. By the 80s, you could find them in garage sales and swap meets, kind of broken and missing parts for 25 cents, 50 cents, all over the place. So that means it was very popular. They sold a lot of them. And it's basically sonic control. The transmitter is just a clicker, you know, like a metal animal clicker type thing. In this case, they put it in a case so that it looks like something more than what it is. And none of the stickers, this one was a new inbox, have been applied. You know, still have all of the fancy ass stickers for this thing. And the instruction sheet, operating instructions. I've got a lot of operating instructions. So if you want to read all that, then just pause and give it a view. This side also, about how to put the pinstriping and decals and stuff on. Here, maybe you need it closer. And you got that little briefcase thing. And the idea of that is the arms, mechanically, if you roll these back, they lock. And then if it catches on something, like that little briefcase thing, it'll click forward and be able to carry it in this position. And then there were even stickers to put on there. Well, you can see on the box what it looks like if you dress everything up all the way. Speaking of the box, it just has 2 D-cell batteries in it. And over there's a date. Here's what the top of the box look like. Back of the box has got all kinds of stuff you can freeze frame and read. I mean, here's your typical 1970s kids. Damn Beatles giving everyone the Beatles haircut. Bottom of the box. So, what they did in the insides, there's 2 motors. There's one motor, when you turn it on, runs one of the wheels all the time, so the robot's moving. And then in the front, there's a steering wheel, which is either straight ahead or turned. Straight ahead or turned. And there's a separate motor that runs that. There's a set of contacts that come into play. The circuitry that they used on the inside, see if the camera can pick any of this up. Yeah, it sees that little blue thing down in there. That blue thing is actually a crystal earphone, but they're using it as a microphone. Back in the 60s and 70s, maybe the late 50s, 60s, and 70s. Well, even the 50s with the advent of the transistor radio. Crystal earphones were the only way. They weren't earbuds. That was the way you were going to hear something on a transistor radio or some other small device like that. But because there was a crystal in them and they were high impedance, that also meant you could use them as a microphone. So in this case, that crystal earphone being used as a microphone to pick up the click is amplified by a single transistor stage and then goes to an SCR. An SCR is a silicon controlled rectifier. When you use an SCR in a DC circuit, 3 volts DC in this case, it'll latch. Once you trigger it, it latches and it stays on. The only way you can turn it off, it's going to turn the motor on. The only way you can turn it off is to either remove power to it or bridge across its outputs, which would be the same as removing power, remove the load. Once it doesn't see a load, then it opens up again. So there's contacts down in here on that steering thing. I say there's a motor and there's a big wheel and there's 2 contacts, and every time the contacts come by, they bridge across the circuit, which lets the SCR turn off again, and then the wheel will stop on that. So when you give it a click, the motor's going to run until it goes forward, then those contacts would have bypassed the SCR and it will stop there. You click it again, it'll go to the next position, which is turn, and it'll stop there. So that was how they got it to go to 2 positions and stop, and use a very simple SCR type circuit to latch it on. So without further ado, let's power it up and see if we can get it going at all. Go down to my white square area here. Only reason I picked that white square area is because since I can't see the viewfinder when I'm playing with stuff, it allows me to have a rough idea of where I'm placing it. Oh, before we get clear over there, this is the on-off switch, and basically this mechanical switch literally just pushes one of the contacts down on the D-cell. There isn't really enough light. On the D-cell batteries, if I angle it, we get more light. There you can kind of see it. Really bad battery door design. You turn this whole thing and this piece of plastic drops away. You put the two D-cells in, you push it and turn it. Poor design. Oh, as far as the sensitivity control goes, that's what this antenna is for. It goes down to a trim pot to adjust the sensitivity of that circuit. So there's your normal mode where it's going in a circle, and then when you want to go in a direct, you're supposed to be able to click it, see there. Now this means it's a little bit too sensitive because it's actually picking up its own noise inside the case. Or it can also happen when the batteries get low. But here you can see the wheels just going back and forth and back and forth. So in this case, you're supposed to adjust the sensitivity on the top until the toy just cycles once and then stops. And it's really hard for me to stay hunched over with that camera like that. Let's go back up here so I don't have to be all hunched over. And I can kind of sort of see what I'm doing maybe. Rather than use that because I don't want to break it, I'm going to go in there with a screwdriver. And either my batteries are low enough or I won't be able to adjust the sensitivity, but we're going to try. Oh dang, that screwdriver is too big to fit in there. I may have to use the plastic thing after all. Yeah, I just turned the pot from one extreme to the other, and it's still running. So I got a feeling I haven't quite got peppy enough batteries for the circuit to be working right. But I think you get the gist of it. Once it hears the click, it's going to run that motor thing, and once the contacts come by, the motor thing will stop if there isn't so much noise happening within the robot that the microphone's basically getting re-triggered, which I think is what's going on now, because you have to sense that sensitivity really close to the point where you can see this antenna part has a little flat piece, and that goes down into the trim pot. But I just moved the trim pot from one extreme to the other, and the motor kept going. So I guess there's a couple possibilities. One, it could be the little brass contacts in here that we talked about, although it'd have to be all of them. Or maybe corroded just from age. That doesn't seem likely since the rest of the contacts and everything are minty clean. Here's this funky door I was talking about. So you take this, and this is almost always missing when you go and find a used one because it's just so BS. But that's how that worked. And then the two D cells drop out. And the one contact in there, I believe it's the one on that side, literally just gets pushed up and down when you move the on-off switch on the back. Just shoves it down onto the battery. So, even though that wasn't a complete demo, because at the moment I only have these 10-year-old D-cells sitting out here, I need to remember to bring in some fresh D-cells. I brought in some fresh C-cells and I brought in some fresh AA's. But since I didn't use the D-cells too often, I didn't think about getting a brand new set of those. They still work good enough to run a motor, just maybe not a sensitive piece of electronic gear like this, right? But there you have it. Running, but not fully operating to the click the way we wanted. I think you get the idea. It's your TOBOR U-Drive game toy. And it says on there, TOBOR's a robot spelled backwards. Duh. So hopefully that covers it.